Okay, little feature video here. I've got this gorgeous 68 Mustang in. Actually lives local to us. And it's massively over fueling at the moment, so this feature video is going to concentrate heavily on the carburetor swap that we're doing. It's running a Holley carburetor at the moment. We have turned it down as much as possible, just so the customer can actually drive here, because initially it wouldn't actually pull out of his garage. As soon as it came off choke and the engine got a little bit of temperature into it, it just overfueled, black smoke out the exhaust, and coughed and died no matter what you really did with the accelerator. So we just turned the carburetor down a reasonable amount to actually get it to drive here. But as you all know, we are not a fan of these Holley carburetors. We get far better results with the Edelbrock. This is going for a 600 CFM carb because it's a 302 5 litre. We're going to retain the original air cleaner, and we're going manual choke rather than auto. So we will be looking at pulling this off. We'll show you what we're doing. It's a rod operated throttle, which hopefully is going to line up to the throttle on the Edelbrock carb. If not, obviously we can modify there. It's just a bit of metal work. So let's see how this little changeover goes. Right, so Steve's now got this carburetor ready to pull off the engine, so we're just going to take it off and pop it down next to the new Edelbrock carb. So we've switched out Holleys for Edelbrocks, or these are often badged up as Webers as well. No end of times on Rover V8s and quite a lot on Ford and Chevy V8s as well. And customers have always been really pleased with the results. Better fuel efficiency, far better drivability, just a much easier carburetor to tune. One of the biggest differences, and this makes a world of difference if you actually work on your car yourself, the float bowls on the Holley carburetor are on the side here, and to change the jets in the metering plate here and make adjustments to that, you actually have to take the float bowl off the side, which obviously results in fuel leaking everywhere. Well-known issue, because everyone says, oh, you need a rag to collect the fuel, etc, etc. On the Edelbrock carburetor, the float bowls again on the side here and here, and the top plate, you undo the screws, top plate comes off, all the fuel is still retained in the float bowls. You can get down inside, change the jets. To change the metering rods, you just undo these two little screws here. You don't even have to take the top of the carburetor off. Obviously on the Rover V8, we know exactly what needles and jet profiles to run on all of the capacities and tunes that we do. On this car, we'll be using the wideband AFR gauge to do a couple of pulls down the road to make sure we've got the right needles and jets. The Chevy C10 that we had in last year, or was it earlier this year, we did exactly the same carburetor swap, so we've got a really good starting point for the tune on this, which we'll put in there before we put the carburetor on the engine. Right, so we've got the top off the Edelbrock carburetor here. The original needles and jets are out. The jet, primary jet, just lives down here in the float bowl. So as you can see, when the float bowl is full of fuel, you can still work on it no problem at all without spilling fuel everywhere over your engine, which obviously is then a fire risk if you have got fuel all over your engine for when you fire it up. These are the needles and jets we're changing to. We're going to go with the same calibration we ran on the Chevy C10, with the same capacity engine. Ran really nicely on those, the AFRs were good. So it's a great starting place for us on this engine. So Steve's now going to pop that back together and then fix this onto the engine. And then we'll look at the throttle linkage. Here on the carburetor, the throttle linkage worked out perfect. Going through there, we were able to reutilise the old return spring mount as well. Just a little bit of fettling there on the bracket. So it's time to see how it drives down the road. Here on the Mustang, we were doing tuning, and that section of the video that you've just already watched was actually done last week. And the starter had been playing up for a while, according to the customer. We didn't know this until the starter started playing up on us. So we've cleaned up all the power terminals to it, so the positive feed to the remote solenoid that's up there, down to the starter, the earth cables on the block, which made a slight improvement, but as soon as the starter motor gets any temperature in it, yeah, it's really struggling to turn the engine over. So we kind of called it a day on that because we were just messing around trying to get the thing started. When it does start, it starts great, obviously on this carburetor, but we're now going to switch out this starter motor. Have a new one here. So far it all looks the same. So yeah, we'll get that fitted up. Right, well the starter motor is fitted. So we're just going to run it up to temperature, go for a drive around the block, get some warmth into everything. Then we'll put the wideband lamp sensor on and check our fueling levels. We did actually get to do a trip out in it last week. Things are reasonably good. I just want to check the wide open throttle, which just seems a little bit bogged down. So we'll just have a look at that. Okay, so we've got the jetting really good now, no flat spots, so we'll just go over for a quick drive in this. Well, a steady drive really, I should say. Doesn't really matter where you are on the throttle pedal now, it just responds to you. The speedo is accurate, we're at 40 already. So if I just breathe on the accelerator very gently when I get to these national speed limit signs, the car will start to pick up. Or if I get into the pedal, obviously we'll accelerate a lot faster, just the way a normal accelerator pedal will work. There we are, just leaning on it gently, we're at 50 already. If I get on it a bit heavier, we're taking off. I do like my job some days, you know.
Really?
Well, 68 Mustang, it's not every day you get to drive one of these, is it?
Well, someone does.
Absolutely gorgeous to drive. A lot better than the original carburetor. The Holley carburetor we removed was just overfueling throughout the entire rev range. Really struggling to start. Obviously the starter motor was playing up as well, which didn't help matters. But all of the extra fuel it was dumping in on hot start just caused, we actually had to go and pick this car up and start it for the customer and turn the mixtures down on the old carburetor in his garage just to be able to get it here. So this is going to be a completely different beast for him now, and he'll be able to get out and enjoy his car for hopefully what's left of our summer, which should be a few more days, I reckon. Not that I'm any sort of weather forecaster at all.
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah. So am I going to abandon you on a hedge somewhere again for a video?
Seems likely.
Okay. Okay, well that finishes this job off. As much as I'd love to continue working on this car in the workshop, finding some more things to do on it, no doubt. I think the customer would probably like the keys back so he can enjoy it. And it's driving a lot nicer now, so I'm sure he will enjoy it.
So Ian might have abandoned me in the woods and be off driving a Mustang, but I found some friends.